Hey everybody, this is Joe Foster with Above the Tree Line, and as you can see, today we're talking about using Edelweiss Plus as a publisher sales rep, and just a little bit of, I guess, house cleaning would be the word. Is if you do have questions, then my colleague Darcy is standing by, and on your little webinar tool thing, you'll see a Q&A button or some sort of apparatus. So if you do have questions as we're going, you can type her a question, and otherwise you can just kick back and relax and hopefully enjoy part of this and learn some stuff. The very best way, if you do have questions, the very best way to get in touch with us, of course, is at support@abovethetreeline.com, and we have a team of people ready to answer any questions you have. So basically, as a sales rep, like we know that you guys are super busy. Usually, we see people with an ungodly number of accounts that they need to work with, and 20 different catalogs to sell each season and all that kind of fun stuff. So really the idea here is to show you some tips and tricks, and basically, of course, show you how to use Edelweiss as a sales rep. How to connect with your accounts and all that kind of stuff. But we'll show you some stuff too that should help you stay organized and connect with your accounts easier and all that stuff. And because the Edelweiss is so widely used around the book industry now, there are certain protocols in place that your buyers, especially if they're indie bookstore buyers, that they're going to expect. And so we'll cover some of that as well. And then of course how to process their orders, which is arguably the most important thing. So really what we are going to cover today is really the basics of the rep toolkit would be contacts, adding your accounts to your contacts is really the first step and kind of sets off a cascade of connections in the background of Edelweiss. And then we'll show you how to do some markups, and then not only process those orders that your accounts share with you, but also to create orders on behalf of other accounts. And then how to use collections, which are pretty cool, kind of a nice wide-ranging tool there. So that said, again, let Darcy know if you do have questions, and she can hook you up. Otherwise, I'm going to jump into Edelweiss and we'll begin. So hopefully by now you have at least looked at the website. That's usually the first step, is to know where it is and all that kind of stuff. But simply type edelweiss.plus into your browser and you'll land there. The homepage of Edelweiss is really customizable, and it can highly recommend that you just make sure that it's set up however makes the most sense to you and how you work, how you like to stay organized. I stress this all the time, just because sometimes someone will ask for help and we'll go and look in their account and it's just a giant mess. Like, well, that's part of the problem, is that you have no idea what's going on. So I like a relatively clean interface that I can at a glance see what's happening. Each of these different widgets, your home screen right now is definitely going to look different than mine. I've been playing around with it a little bit. But you can add different widgets and you can move these around if you like. Kind of just right here, you can drag and drop each of these little boxes to wherever makes the most sense to you. But to add more widgets, well, first of all, to remove widgets, you can simply click the little X here. If you hover over that, you'll see an X. So we can get rid of notifications if we want, for example. And that kind of shifts the widgets around. But you can add more widgets in here as well. So whether it's, if you use save filters quite a bit, which can be extraordinarily useful, you can add one of those. You can add that notifications thing, your people, show me colleagues of mine, or my contacts, etc. All kinds of useful things in there. If you use collections a lot, which again we're going to be talking about at the end here, you can have a folder just for your own collections, which can be really, really useful. They're essentially customized catalogs that you create for your accounts or just for yourself or colleagues. So really lots of flexibility there. There's a number of options up here at the top. Buzz is basically, popular titles based on Edelweiss usage. Not only booksellers, but librarians and bloggers and reviewers. Lots and lots of people around the book industry do a lot on Edelweiss. And so we can kind of aggregate some of that activity and show the most popular titles. And you can look at just your own titles in there too and see what's buzzing. I just did air quotes. I'm sorry, you didn't see it, but I did it anyways, and I apologize. But there's also review copies and reviews and all that kind of stuff. If there's stuff on there that you don't want to see, just stuff that you're not going to use, you can actually hide those as well. So if you click onto the toolbox up here, it's not a toolbox, it's just tools, two tools. Like if your company doesn't do event grids, it's not something that you work with, you can simply hide those. Or you can move orders up, you can remove the buzz, and that sort of thing. If it was me, I would definitely suggest leaving people and catalogs and orders at the very least, just because those are going to be where you're going to do the most of your work. But then to hide those things, you go ahead and click Save, and you'll see that those things disappear from that top menu there. So again, you can really just make this look however you like. If you are, especially if you're a independent rep, you represent lots and lots of different publishers, you can play with your publisher toolbox here. If you click into publishers, you'll see my publishers. In this case, I'm in as a Chronicle rep at the moment, but you can add or remove publishers here. So you click on the little gear there. And if you also rep for Quarto, for example, you can add those there. Or if you don't rep Gallus and Mud Puppy anymore, you can just click the trash can icon there to remove that. I'm going to remove Quarto here. So it's nice and easy. And then you can change the order of those as well. So if you click into here, if Chronicle is your main publisher in this case, then you can have that right up at the top. And really the biggest reason to do that, obviously you need to be able to mark up their catalogs and see their orders and that kind of stuff. But it's really, if you want to find catalogs with your publishers, you can click right into the Chronicle page and see their catalogs as they present them. So for example, this is the featured catalogs on the Chronicle page, and you can see basically what they're pushing right now. You can sort this list however you like. Usually last viewed or date added is the easiest because you're going to see the freshest things at the top there. And then this is the ascending or descending toggle switch, essentially. So you can see newer stuff on top or older stuff on top. Go back to the home page. So the first thing we're actually going to talk about today, besides the home page here, is your people page, which is where you will add your contacts. So the way that the ordering system works in Edelweiss is that when your accounts are finished with their order, they can share it with you and whoever else they like, frankly, and you'll be able to see it then. You won't see an order unless they share it with you, and unless you add them to your contacts, they're not going to be able to share it with you. So it's just important to, when you have a new account, add them to your contacts here as an individual. And really pretty simple. You can, if you like, upload you can import contacts or export contacts, which actually, if one sales rep is leaving and another one is coming to take their place, they can exchange contacts very easily that way. Really nice and easy. But in order to add a new contact, you click Add New Contact. So right now we're looking at contacts, individuals. There's also accounts, but right now we're going to play in the individuals. You can see their existing contacts, but I'm going to add a new one. Since Darcy's here, I'm going to, oops, I misspelled your name, Darcy, I'm sorry. See, this is always my problem when these, I can't type when people are watching, so sorry. Oh, jeez. There we go. So the first time I added Darcy's email address, it said user was not located, and I'll show you that in more detail here in a second. But in this case, typed in the email address, press search, said this user was located. So this means that this email address is associated with an Edelweiss account. Now, you're not necessarily going to be selling just to people with Edelweiss accounts. Not all stores have them. Most do at this point because they kind of have to, whether they like it or not, really. But in this case, Darcy does have an account, so I'm going to add her to my contacts. It takes just a second there. So what this does, once you start, once you add a contact, it's actually kind of sets off a whole cascade of connections in the background of Edelweiss, which allows for that order sharing and the ability to easily share markups and that sort of thing. So really nice and easy. Now, if I want to add a contact, somebody who is not on Edelweiss, you probably won't be. It's not necessarily even appropriate for them to be. Or they have a toy store or something like that. You can still add them in here. So if it's, Bob at bobstoys.com. Say there was no user found, so I can go ahead and add information here. Say Bob Toys. The account name would be Bob's Toys. And you can add a phone number there if you like. Then add to contacts. And so you're going to see a difference here in that each of your contacts that has a legitimate Edelweiss account is going to have this little cross after their name, the little Edelweiss Plus logo. So that indicates that is an Edelweiss Plus user. Bob at Bob's Toys is not. You can still share markups with them and that sort of stuff, but they're not, they're not going to be able to create orders and stuff like that. So that's individuals within account. Oh, I should mention really quickly, sorry. If you want to get rid of an account here, you can easily do that. Just click the little delete contact and it'll make you verify that you want to do that. And then you can edit. So you're not going to be able to edit existing users' email address because that's their connection in Edelweiss, but you can change other information here if you like. And that's going to change it for your own view, not for them. You can list in the accounts. This is actually kind of nice if you're working with one of those, with a store that has a fair number of staff on the site, like Powell's or somebody who has, dozens and dozens of users. You can come in here and see that out of the 64 above the tree line accounts, you have 3 in your contacts here. You can click into that and see everybody listed here. And if you want to, add somebody, MC Hammer, for example, you can add them as a contact just like that. So that's kind of the quick and nitty gritty of your contacts and how to add them. There are ways to make this even easier to work with, especially if you have, 500 contacts. You don't necessarily want to have to share a markup with each of those contacts individually. The easiest thing to do is to create a group. So I'm going to do that actually. So I'm just going to select a few contacts here. Sorry, MC. So we got some in there. I'm going to go to other actions and click on add contacts to group. And here it's essentially like just like adding a tag. It actually says tags there. So I'm going to say buyer group. And so now each of those users is added to a buyer group. And you can see, I think I'd actually need a refresh at this point. So what's really nice about that is then you're able to share markups immediately with that entire group, just at the push of a button. Makes it nice and easy and quick. And you can add one person to multiple groups as well. So if we click on my name here, you can add, if you want a group of people with beards, you can do that. Just kind of whatever makes the most sense of how you want to segment your account list. If you have a large region that you're working in, it can be really useful to do, if you cover Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, it makes sense to have a Northern California group, an Oregon group, and a Washington group. So then when you're doing a markup, which is the next thing we're going to be showing you, you can actually very easily create, just an Oregon store markup and have, like a local author tag that's specific just to Oregon stores. So can make it nice and easy and a little bit more personalized for your accounts. All right, so now we're going to go into a catalog and kind of do a little catalog tour and show you how to do some markups. So I'm going to go into the Chronicle Fall 2018 Omnibus. So a lot of times these publishers that have a number of different imprints or other publishers that they distribute for will create an omnibus catalog, which shows, we have a quadrille. Hopefully I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Lawrence King, Mud Puppy, Christian LaCroix. They all have their own individual catalogs, but they also are all combined into the Chronicle Omnibus catalog. That's actually generally how buyers like to buy, because then they just have to keep track of one big monster catalog, and it just makes it easier for them, easier for you. So we can see that right now I have catalogs on my work list and also catalogs in my recently viewed area here. This is a nice one to keep on your dashboard, simply because whatever you looked at last is going to be up at the top there. So it's a nice, quick, and easy way to continue your work if you get interrupted. You can also add catalogs to a folder if you like, or a whole mess of folders. I'm going to show you that real quick, actually, since we're here. So if you click into catalogs, I can see a number of different classifications for catalogs here, whether, catalogs that have been shared with me by colleagues, or I can look at all publishers, or what's easiest, oftentimes the beginning of each season, you can say my publishers, make sure this is sorted according to date added or last viewed. In this case, I did last viewed. But you can really easily add a catalog to your work list, for example, just by clicking the little star here. See, I'm seeing catalogs that are not publicly viewable. It's because I do have access as a sales rep to those catalogs. But if you click the star, that's going to add or remove a catalog from your work list. And again, your work list just lives on the home page right here. So this is essentially just a nice, easy way to keep track of all of the catalogs that you want to work through each season. And then when you're finished with that, you can go and just view the catalogs that are on your work list here under the quick access. And when you're done, if you're completely finished with the fall 2018 season, you can just remove from work list, just like so. So that's one way. Another way to stay organized is the folders. which I actually like a lot. It's essentially adding a tag to your list of catalogs. And that's just this little folder icon here. So you can see I have a current season folder. Another user that I'm connected with in my own organization also has this in a fall 2018 folder, which makes total sense. You can have fall 2018. You could have a folder just for your museum stores, or just for schools, or whoever you're selling to each season. Just however it makes sense for you to organize your different catalogs. To add one in, you simply, again, I can't type when people are watching. It's actually kind of embarrassing. Try this again, sorry. So I'll say museum stores, you type enter, and now that has 2 folders. And I can see that there is a folder now added down here in my folders section. So again, staying organized is key, super, super important. I'm going to click into that Chronicle Omnibus catalog here. And we are going to do a little bit of a tour, just make sure that you know about certain things that can make your view kind of look however you want it to look. Probably the most important thing to know about is this other actions tool in here. You can show your markups or not. Sometimes if you want to just scroll through a catalog pretty quickly, you don't necessarily need to see your big markup area. You can show or hide the order area. In this case, a Chronicle, one of my favorite publishers, they do beautiful books, but each one has a ton of illustrations, so that actually makes scrolling take a little bit longer. So as I'm going through here, I may actually, unless I need to see the illustrations, I might just hide them. And then it just makes each title entry a little quicker. If you do want to see the content, you can click this guy to show just the summary, and everything else is still squashed down, or you can click the arrow plus to extend everything like so. Conversely, if you do want to see all that for every title, you can make sure that content is clicked up here. You can show comps, you can show illustrations, all the things if you like. Another thing that's worth noting, I'm actually going to hide some of this stuff. Boop, boop. That'll work. Another thing that's worth knowing about is the sort in here. Generally speaking, you're probably going to sort this by catalog sequence, with it showing if this is the little triangles pointed up here. That means that this number 1 is going to be at the top, basically. You can also sort this according to imprint or category or format, whatever makes the most sense to you. Generally, catalog sequence is what you're going to be viewing it as, and also your customers. The publisher admins who create the catalogs actually have the opportunity, if they like, to also include sections. So Chronicle did that. So if you're viewing this according to catalog sequence, then the sections here will show up, and you can jump right to the Gallison titles if you like. Maybe I clicked on the wrong one, sorry. But yeah, so that can really speed things up for you if you want to jump from catalog to catalog. You also have a number of refinements over here on the side. So for example, if we're looking at a specific account, like above the tree line, you can see whether or not you've made suggestions for them, which we'll talk about. You can view just titles they've ordered or not ordered, different BISAC categories, publication date, imprints, etc. So you can really filter this as down to as few titles as you like, or go ahead and just show the whole thing. So that's kind of the very quick tour of the catalog pages. Next, we're going to talk about markup. So basically, the idea here is that you can kind of customize the catalog. So right now we're looking at the catalog as presented by the publisher, but you can alter this and update it according to your own view of the titles, the titles that you would stress the most. You can add tags that are account specific or region specific, whatever, however you like to work. And you can actually add notes on here as well. So as a buyer is going through your catalog, they're going to see your notes. They're going to see, you want to create a priority for this. You think this is the most important title in the list, so you can mark it as a featured title, which kind of blows up the cover, gives it this blue outline here. You can say, I want this one to be highlighted, for example. Don't do this for every single title in the catalog, or it kind of nullifies its effectiveness. Everything in moderation. So you can change the priority of a title if you like. If you really want to, and you're doing a markup for a particular region, and they're in Southern California, it's a Washington book, you can say skip on a title as well, which on their end is actually going to hide the title, but give them the opportunity to open it up if they want. Some stores really like that, some hate it, so it behooves you to know your accounts and their preferences. So priority is great. Again, so you can actually, the most important thing I think is as you're going through a catalog with your accounts, you can actually both filter by the feature titles and just see those that you think are the most important right away, like right at the very beginning of the appointment. And so you can really stress those as you like. Again, you can also add tags. So a tag is basically going to be a keyword that is going to be attached to that title that your accounts are going to be able to filter by, search for, all that kind of stuff. So if this is a local author, then by all means say so. That's really important information for a store, and kind of ups the ante, I guess, is what I was trying to say. If this is your favorite title on the list, say that. Say my favorite, or rep pick, or whatever makes the most sense to you. To create a tag, you simply type it and hit enter. And then once you've created a tag, if you start typing again, you can very quickly select that tag later on. Next is going to be the markup notes. So generally speaking, what people are going to add in here are going to be like the print run, for example. That's not necessarily something that a publisher is going to add to their public-facing catalogs, but you do want your buyers to know that. So if this has a print run of 30,000, that's pretty important. You might actually specify. I didn't have to put the K on there because I did all the zeros. So this, generally speaking, having your markup notes look the same each time can be really important, because as a buyer scrolling through 631 titles, their eye is going to go to specific spots, and if you do it consistently each time, it's just going to be easier for them. A lot of times a rep will say print run, and they'll bold this out and maybe add some color to it. You don't necessarily want your markup to look like it was written in crayon or anything, but a little bit of color can set things off. And then you can add your impressions of the book, or if you're at sales conference and whoever's presenting this title has something great to say, you can add that in here. Just kind of whatever extra information you would like to add to a title. Generally speaking, you don't necessarily want to just copy and paste the content in there, so then it's just redundant and kind of a waste of everybody's time, frankly, in my opinion. Lots of reps do that, actually. So yeah, so kind of adding whatever information you think is great. And again, if this is your favorite book in here, say why. This is your chance to sell to your accounts before you even talk to them. because hopefully they're going to be going through this catalog before they ever see you, and you're just going to sit down and look at numbers with them, hopefully. So basically there are 4 different elements to a markup. The first one is going to be the priority, next one is tags, the next one is the note, and then the final one is going to be the comparable titles. So comps, as we call them, are added at the publisher level. So whoever created this catalog added these 3 titles as comparable titles for very obvious reasons. For the second 2 anyways. I'm not sure about the first one, but I don't know this title. So generally it's going to be, previous titles by this author, or, if this is a paperback version of a hardcover that came out last year, then obviously you want the hardcover version in here as a comparable title. We have analytics tools for bookstores, and if you're looking at a store that uses our analytics tools, you're going to be able to see their performance with these comparable titles. So we can see that at this particular store, Small Victories by the same author sold 17 copies over the lifetime of this title. So that's good information to help you sell this effectively to that account. And frankly, they're going to look at that. They want to know how they sold an author's previous work, and they're either going to see it here or they're going to go to their point of sale system and look if they're a decent buyer. So really important kind of stuff. You can add more comp titles if you want. If you come over here and say find additional comps, say, was it Tertian? Sorry. Yeah, Tertian. So we can find previous titles by this author. Say, I'm going to add a few. I'm going to add selected to comp titles. So whenever you take the time to add new comparable titles to the markup, it's actually going to show those as highlighted comp titles. So those are going to be essentially a flag for your buyers that these comp titles are the most important ones. So if you also think that Small Victories is worth highlighting, you can click that as well. So what's nice about this is that your buyers can actually, and you, can come up here and say show only the highlighted comps. So the reason that's in place, to be totally blunt, is that some publishers add like 30 comparable titles to each title, and it's way too much. Like no buyer wants to see that many. So you can go through and just say show me. I'm just going to show you the top few that I think are the most important, and that can really help your accounts out and let them do this better. Basically, do everything a little quicker. So we've done that for this title. It can be something that's very quick, like that. What we just did was relatively quick, just added a few things. You can be a little more involved. It kind of totally depends on what you have to say about each title and how you work. One great thing that you can do is share the workload with your colleagues. So especially for those publishers who have larger lists, a lot of times rep groups will split. I'm going to do this imprint and this imprint, and then Sally's going to do the next 2 imprints, and on down the line. And you guys can share those markups amongst yourselves. And then like here I can see there's a markup note that Ian D has shared with me. And I can click in here and see what that is. And see there's some discount stuff there. If I want to add this as my own markup, I can just hit the plus here. And you're going to see this. So this is a particular markup in the particular catalog. But if this markup was shared outside of this catalog, in a completely different catalog, a different season or a collection or something, I'll see those markup notes as well. So you can totally steal from your colleagues. And I highly recommend it, especially if you think they do good markup notes. Some publishers will actually, the person who created the catalog will also create a markup that they then share with all their sales reps, and you can just steal it. You can also see it here instead of opening up another screen. You can also, so down here we have the markup. Whenever you first dive in, your markup is going to be called default. You can rename it if you like. But if I add a new markup here, I can name it whatever I like. I can add an overview if I like, but I can come in here and take Ian's markup and take each of its elements here and just copy it right over. Makes it very nice and very quick. So that's his tags, priorities, and the notes. And then, of course, these are now yours, so you can edit them as you like. And then you can jump from markup to markup as well. So what I mentioned, say if you have a rather large region that you work with, you can pretty easily create a regional specific markup. So I'm going to say, this is Northern Cal. Seriously. That's really bad. So Northern California Chronicle, come in here, take Ian's, and take all of these elements. So I have the same markup, but I don't import the tags. I'm just going to go ahead and add my own tags to this that are Northern California store specific. And you can do the same exact thing, transfer the same markup over without the tags and just add Oregon tags for your Oregon stores. Makes it really simple, really easy and fast to do much more personalized sorts of markups. You don't have to do that, of course. I definitely see markups that have, NCIBA catalog, and then PNBA catalog, and on down the line. With, and buyers aren't necessarily going to care about that a whole lot. But if they don't have to sift their eyes through another region's catalog tag there, then it's not going to muddy their view, and it's going to feel more personalized again. So however you like to do it. So as things stand right now, this markup that I've created is only visible to me. So I haven't shared it with anybody. So I've personalized this catalog, and now it's time to share it. So you come down here and click into shares. There's basically 3 ways to share. And this is taking a little bit this morning as well for some reason. There we go. All right, so you can share with individuals. So if I want to share with Ruth and MC Hammer, of course. So that's sharing with each individual user, or I can come in and say, show me my groups, just do the beards. So that's going to share with all contacts I added to that beards group, or you can share with entire accounts. So I can say, I'm going to share with above the tree line. What that does is actually makes this markup visible to everybody who's associated with this above the tree line organization. And so right now, this markup is now visible to all these people. If I do want to also send them an email, so I'm actually just going to do me, the Beardo. So if you click this box, you can come down here and click email check shares. And that's going to automatically fill in. You can have a message here, whatever you like. Yeah, I should just stop typing. It's nice if it's a little personalized, to be honest. Just as a previous buyer, I can attest to that. It just feels a little bit better to get a personalized email there. Just click the email, and then an email is going to go right to that buyer. It looks pretty nice. It has a picture. If you it's going to have a picture of the cover of the catalog and a few titles and that sort of stuff. If you don't necessarily have to send that email, it is kind of nice to serve as a reminder to your accounts that they have a Chronicle catalog to look at. They are going to have this markup available to them once you share it, no matter what, whether you send that email or not. All right, so we've talked about markups and the 4 different elements there. There is one more sort of element that's not technically connected to markups, but that you can do to personalize this and make things a little easier for your accounts. You can create suggested orders. So right now we're looking at an orders view. I'm going to switch this over to suggestions. So you see that these little lozenges here just turned orange. So that means that they're ready for data, essentially. You just make sure that you're looking at the correct account, because the suggestions are account specific. But I can come in here and say, this bibliophile title is great, and it's just this thing for this store. I suggest they buy 3 for this location, 1 for this location. Now, when you do this, this suggestion is now immediately visible to people at the Above the Tree Line account. So they're going to see immediately that you are suggesting 3 and 1 for these locations. So that's going to happen regardless of whether or not you shared a markup with them. That suggestion will show. So in this case, I can see these little numbers here are showing how many are on an order that this account has done. So they've ordered 2 for each here. If you think that's a little low, which hopefully you'd say, I think this is worth 5, and they can accept or not your suggestion. They may see 5 and be like, that's optimistic, buddy, maybe 3. But again, that's just kind of up to you and your account. There are accounts out there who have asked their reps to just create a suggested order for them. They can go in on their end and just say accept rep suggestions, and it fills in their order for them. So their order is done by you, and on their end it happens really fast. So that's kind of up between you and your accounts. Most don't necessarily trust their reps that much. I mean, that's just a rather large level of trust. But yeah, the suggestion thing is great. When I was a buyer, I liked suggestions on select titles. So those titles that I'm just going to scroll down to a blank one here. Those titles that the rep knows are going to be big because they have that insider information, advertising budgets and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to see, if I should buy a case of something, or in this case is 80, that's a lot. If I should buy a case of something, then I want to know that as a buyer. But if you do say buy a case on every single title, that's just kind of overkill. So that's looking at suggestions. And again, so when we're looking at suggestions, you're also able to see what the store's actually ordered for this particular title. If we look at orders, it's a different view. Give this just a second to refresh here. So this is just showing on this order. So I have a couple of different orders here. This is all orders combined. So if I want to look at a specific order, so this is just showing me that they've ordered 1 copy there, 1 copy there. So this is actually the gray are all the orders in this particular order. Some titles, of course, are in multiple catalogs, multiple seasons, and so this little yellow guy will show all the orders. So it's usually going to be the same because there's not that many titles that are in multiple seasons. but it's good to be able to show them, hey, you ordered this previously. If you want to create an order on behalf of an account, they're not in Edelweiss, for example, like it's a museum store that just is never going to be on Edelweiss necessarily. You can still create an order for them. In this case, you would say add new, say museum store, whatever you want to call it. Make order visible to account, and you select probably unspecified account here, unless you've added them to your contacts. And then you would add the name of the store. Add a PO number if that's relevant, and you can add comments too. But once you do that, we can then go ahead and add order quantities in on their behalf. Say you're ordering 3 of this. So as you're going through the catalog with an account, you can quickly create that order this way. So then the orders themselves actually live on your orders page. So we can see this is the order that I just created for Bob's Museum Store. This is an order that I went in and created as an above the tree line buyer and then shared with this sales rep. So this is an order that has been shared with this rep, and I can go in and view the order. So when you're on the orders page and you click on the name of the order, you're going to see the order in a catalog view. So it's essentially a visual purchase order, really. But you can go over the order this way. If you are meeting with an account and you want to go over the order with him, you probably want to do that in the actual catalog and not in the order itself, because you want them to add more titles to the order, most likely. Doing it this way is going to really just review their order. And they can, on their end, they can go in and adjust these quantities and that sort of stuff. Then really, this order looks great. You both have agreed on the numbers. You can come in here, go to export preview, and you can export this as an order form, or you can create your own custom exports as well. I'll show you where to find that, the instructions for that here in a bit. But you just click download and it creates an Excel document that you can then send off to your publisher as you like, or there's each publisher kind of has their own different ways to do it, so just follow that protocol. And then when you're finished with an order, you're both done, you submitted it, it's all over, you can click it completed, and it goes away out of your active orders list. So then again, this kind of keeps your workspace nice and clean and tidy, and all those completed orders are kept here in the completed orders folder. And do note that there's a calendar icon here, and you can see the time frame up here. Right now, we're looking at completed orders in the last 3 months. You can look at since yesterday all the way out to every order that you ever received in Edelweiss. So just keep that in mind. All right, the very last thing we're going to talk about actually is collections. So especially for those of you who have more specialty accounts who may not necessarily need to see all 600 titles in the Chronicle catalog, you can create special customized collections that only present the titles that they really need to see. I'm going to do a quick one here. So what can be really helpful is to use the filters here to create specific lists of titles. You can select different titles to add to a collection by using the check marks here. Or you can come in here and say select all or select all on current page, whatever makes the most sense to what you're doing. But I'm going to come in here and say, let's look at all the cooking titles. I'm selling to a cookbook store. So that takes out of all 631 titles in the catalog, there are 43 cookbooks. I'm going to come in here to other actions and say select all. So that you can see there are now 43 selected. And I'm just going to go ahead and add these onto a collection. So I can add to a new collection if I like, which I'm going to. Might as well add Chronicle on there. Jeez, again. Terrible. All right. So I am just now adding all 43 of those titles onto that Chronicle Cookbooks collection. And then the collections live on the catalogs page. So you have a section under the customized area here for my collections. And of course, you can, that was just collections from, or just titles from that one catalog. You can add catalogs or titles from all the catalogs in your particular season. I was impatient there, so I didn't get the titles that I was looking at. So I'm going to look at this one. But you can add stuff from different seasons. You can add backlist, just kind of really whatever you want to sell to those customers. And then essentially now it's just a catalog. Granted, in this case, it's a catalog that only you can see. So that's the difference, is a catalog that's created by the publisher is visible to everybody. And then a collection that you've created is only visible to you and also to the people that you've shared it with. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and share this with this guy. And you can send an email saying, hey, check out my cookbook collection this year. Again, but you can do the markup notes and the whole thing there, but you're sending a very specific set of titles to a specific customer. I know a lot of sales reps who just absolutely use the heck out of the collections, and they'll have dozens each year or each season. And what's cool with that as well is the collections really do kind of act just like a catalog, in that you can add it to your work list, you can add it to a folder, and that's all that sort of thing. So you could have, my museum stores fall 18 collections all set in one folder and that sort of stuff. So it makes it really easy to really customize your offerings for those special customers. And that's kind of the nitty-gritty of what we're going to show you today. I do want to just make sure that you guys know about this. Up in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on Help and Get Help, you get to the help documents, and there's a section just for sales reps. And it really covers how to get around contacts, markups, collections, orders, and a few other things in there. So you should find step-by-step instructions there for whatever you're looking to do. And of course, if you're not seeing what you need, you can always contact us, and support at AboveTheTreeLine.com is the best place to do that. All right, so again, thank you guys for joining today, and hopefully that helps, and happy selling. All right, have a great day.